a time to rejoice in the goods that we see.
I don't like driving at night now. Do you like driving at night?
There we are. That's
Do you like driving at night?
Cliff Richard.
I'm asking you a question.
No, I'm not asking the. No, I don't like driving at night. Actually, no. I must admit, I used to love driving everywhere. You know,
Is that a sign of old age? That's what I was going to get at.
Now it's got a sort of, I don't know, driving's got a bit of a pain because they seem to be. It seems to be this attitude that you've got to drive as fast as you possibly can, and you know you go up to a roundabout and that you don't worry about slowing down or anything.
No.
You just go, oh, I can squeeze in that little gap there because I'm doing 80 miles an hour. You know, and it's,
I know, Mike, but what you've got to do is learn to drive with other gears other than first and second.
Well,
You know, there is a third and a fourth gear in the gearbox, which means you can go that little bit faster, and people wouldn't be so frustrated when they queue up behind you.
And a fifth and a sixth.
Do you know, I drove my son's car last night at BMW. He's got 8 gears on it.
Has it?
He has 8 gears on it.
Cool, blimey.
Yes, and it's
Trucks are 32. don't they?
I must admit, and I think I've admitted it before, but I did buy a Honda car, and it actually had 6 gears in it, but I drove it up to Manchester, down to Bristol, and down somewhere else. I drove quite a few miles in it before my son got in it and said, "Oh, yeah, you've got 6 gears, Dad." You know, and I thought, well, you don't normally count that because you've got five gears plus reverse, you know, which is 6. But so I said, no, you don't count gears like that, you know. I mean, you don't count reverse. He said, well, I'm not. He said, you've got 6 forward gears. And when I looked at the gear knob, they had 6 gears. However, I've got to make one of those rare, occasional apologies to Mr. Mallion, because he wanted to, before I put Cliff Richard on, he wanted to come up with something. No, it's not, it's a second. But he wanted to come up with something which was really mind-blowing. And so, Mr. Mallion, the floor is yours now, please.
Well, you might have slightly over-egged it, but nevertheless, I was going to talk about drones.
Drones?
You know, and a lot of people think it's science fiction that drones are going to be delivering goods on a regular basis. I don't think it is.
I've been doing it with prisons for a couple of years.
The criminal fraternity have been the leading light in drone delivery services.
Are you going to drone on about this?
For quite some time, apparently. There are criminals that are getting box sent videos delivered by drone to order. So if you're in prison, you can order your box set to be delivered by drone. Now you can't do that when you're a free person living in Newport Pagnell High Street.
No, they're probably delivering drugs as well, aren't they, at the same time?
Well, have you seen this little
I
mini
certainly
phone?
think that the little mini phone, yes.
I mean, you know, it's so small.
What's
now.
a mini phone?
Well, look, it's a mini mobile.
Oh, does it have all the functions? You better use it for God's sake. Oh God!
No, it's smaller than yours. I'll tell you, makes yours look like an elephant.
Sooner or later, people have their phones embedded in their fingernail, won't they, or something like that?
Well, convicts are buying the miniature devices, some no bigger than a lipstick tube.
You don't go there. Where they put it?
Because, well, this is it. Apparently, when you go through the checking seat in the prisons, which check you for all sorts of funny things and that, but apparently, you know, you are able to hide the products in, let's just say, orifices and that the seat doesn't detect. So,
On the subject of phones, I do have a bit of a thing about this. They're very nice. They are very handy, but they are very invasive. If you carry these around all the time, the blooming thing keeps going off for a lot of people. You feel compelled to answer it. Now, on what was it? I was pottering around on social media last night, having a quick look, and up come this little video clip of some lady in America that had got all her children's phones. She put them on a log and then shot the smithereens out of them because she was not going to have her children become slaves to social media. She wanted them to interact correctly with
I did see that,
with
mother.
people and so
And I'm so pleased she wasn't my mother. She wasn't exactly the most salubrious of people.
Yes, there's mothers and mothers, isn't there?
Yeah.
And she was a mother, a real mother.
She certainly fell into the category of...
Kevin mentioned a thing a little earlier on about a little on-off button, you know, and you can turn off the radio or the television if you don't like what you're listening
and your
or
phone.
looking at. You know, you can do exactly the same thing. With
mine's off more often than it's on.
Well, that's right.
I'm quite addicted to my smartphone. I mean, if I don't have my smartphone with me, I feel somewhere
naked.
Well, detached.
But they're talking about these cancer scares again, aren't they? If you carry your phone.
We are actually part of a hive now, aren't we? The sort of, my smartphone is my access point to the human hive, where all information is available to me on any subject ever defined by man. I can now find out anything about anything. If I want to know how to grow rhubarb, I just say, how do you grow rhubarb? And my phone comes back and tells me. Why do we need education anymore? Do we need to send our children to school?
Not really.
We just need to buy them a mobile phone.
No, well, that's where it all goes wrong. Because, fine, we can get that information, but there is no interaction. We need face-to-face interaction for education.
No, we don't.
And so on. Well, I would argue...
Well, you see, the thing is...
Are you saying that you can't get a good education through remote learning, because an awful lot of people in Australia have been doing it for many years?
Didn't flash.
No, I take the point to a degree, but...
Well, I agree you might want to go to university for that, but I think that if you're going to take the point, I think you're very brave.
Right, well, let's take...
let me just give you an example here, because, you were very very wisely talking about if you want to know how to grow rhubarb, you ask and they tell you how to grow it. The sad thing is that once or twice, and I have actually experienced this myself, I will take rhubarb as the example, although that wasn't actually the thing, but a piece of rhubarb was shown to a child, and the child was asked, what is this? And the child said, it's cucumber.
Do you mean a child made a mistake about identifying a piece of food?
Well,
what is the world coming to, Mike? I think letters need to be written to the Times, the Guardian, and the Sun.
It's like the old joke, isn't it, about the children? And this is fact as well. Children, they talk about where does milk come from? And milk comes from Tesco's.
Of course it does.
Well, that's it.
And there are other suppliers.
Tesco's, did you say?
You can't expect children to know everything that you know, because you're
I'm going to move on.
No disrespect, Mike, but you're not a young man.
But cleavage-enhancing tops, miniskirts and crop tops are among the clothes that have prompted bosses to send home 1 in 10 women, so a poll has found. Some 10% of women working in offices said that they were told to change after coming into work in inappropriate clothes, and 1 in 6 said they'd been pulled to one side at work and warned not to wear that outfit again, according to a survey by Total Jobs. The poll also found that 28% of female workers had been subject to unwanted comments about their appearance at the office. David Cliff of Total Jobs called for employers to make dress codes very clear. He said, our report indicates that female workers are more impacted by ambiguity around dress codes and are more likely to face unnecessary and unwanted stress or comments from colleagues.
Well, this is beginning to sound awfully like, women have got to wear what their bosses tell them at work, and it's absolutely wrong. Women should wear whatever they feel is appropriate for themselves. And, what is inappropriate about showing a piece of cleavage? What's wrong with that?
There
nice.
is nothing.
I like it.
If these women do not want the comments, then do not put yourselves in a position.
Really?
Not saying... people have got to make the comments, but it's as simple as that.
Whether it be a burqa or a bikini, women have got the choice to wear what they want.
Yes, that's right.
There's no debate about it. It is, of course there are slightly inappropriate times to wear certain items, but who determines that?
Well, what always amuses me is when you get the young ladies, and it does tend to be the younger ones, but and I've worked in offices for a long time in my working life, but they'll come in and they've got a short sort of mini skirt thing on, and they are forever trying to pull it down towards the top of their knees.
I really said that last week.
And I often sort of want to go over to them and sort of say, look, love, why don't you go home and put a pair of trousers on or something, because you've got a lovely pair of legs, but you've got this little mini skirt on and you keep pulling it down to try and cover it. And it's the same with the cleavage tip as well. They're forever standing there trying to pull their top up so that.
You'll be fair. You're the same with your tutu, aren't you? You're forever pulling that down.
I mean, there's a big degree of hypocrisy in this, Mike. I mean, you go out with no underwear on, wearing your tutu.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that you managed to get away with it without an official complaint.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's true, but I mean, I'll tell you.
I mean, particularly the parking facility that you offer when you were bending over.
I'll tell you a little story which may not amuse you, it may disgust you. I don't know, really. It's not meant to disgust the listener. But when in a particular managerial position I was in one day, I was sat in my office and I was having a puff on my cigarette, and one of my sales girls came in, and she was quite a large lady, but she was sort of well endowed on the upper part. And she came into my office and then she looked at me. She sat down and she looked at me and she said, "Do you know," she said, "you're looking awfully miserable at the moment." And I said, "Well, you know," I said, I've got a lot on, you know." To which she then lifted up her top and exposed her bosom to me.
When was this?
And when I worked for
was this at Theo,
a company,
was it?
No, it was a young lady actually, and she exposed herself to me. She just whipped it up and then whipped it straight down again. To which my mouth jaw dropped and my eyeballs nearly popped out of their sockets. But I said to her, she said, "If nothing else, it's brought a smile to your face." And I said, "Well, it is nothing else, but it has brought a smile to my face, and it was really comfortable." The only annoying thing was, I said, "But would you like to repeat that? Because I don't believe what I saw." And she said, "No." She said, "You're not getting another look," and that was it. And she walked out of my office. And I didn't.
And then said you were, and then charged you. Did she?
Well, this was it. She then went to my line manager, yes, you know, and said, "You know, I've just shown my
innuendos."
Yeah, I just showed my bosoms to him, and he didn't make any comments on that, you know. But here's another sad thing about women. Oh, poor old women, they're getting a bit of the neck at the moment, aren't they? But more than a quarter of women gain weight after moving in with a male partner because their diet becomes unhealthier. And they say that, guess what? It's the men's fault.
No, it's contentment.
Yeah. I have noticed that when women do break up with their partners, they tend to miraculously become a lot slimmer.
Yes.
They do, don't they?
This is a well-documented
they wear nicer clothes and
gender behaviour.
Yeah.
That's because the contentment's gone, the relationship has broke up, and they're on the prowl looking for a bloke.
Oh, I like that.
On the prowl.
On the prowl, yes.
Kate McCann.
That's how it works, isn't it?
I don't know whether it's
man, woman.
I stand in awe of your knowledge on these subjects because I've been wondering how it all works for a very long time.
I think that's wonderful. On the prowl.
Yes.
Good Lord, I'm going to take that.
That's
home.
a lions, isn't it? They're on the prowl. Prowl of lions.
Well, they're pride of
lions, isn't it? Yeah, Kate McCann is still buying Christmas presents for Madeline every year, she's saying. Well, I think a lot of people do that. 70 firefighters are battling a huge blaze at London Zoo. Did you know that?
No.
Well, you do now.
I mean, you talk about Kate McCann and Christmas presents. I mean, that's very sad, and I wouldn't really like to comment on it. But one of the things that I would comment on, and it's really strange, because a lot of families do actually celebrate birthdays of their deceased.
Yeah.
Because my father, actually, had he been alive, would have been 100 today. Because it would have been his birthday if he'd have still been alive, you know. But my wife said to me yesterday, "Oh, you know, he would have been 100."
Well, I said the same things, yeah.
I said, "Yeah, that's true." But within her family, when her father, I think it was going to be 100.